Good afternoon, my respected CEO of Shield Air. I'm Lavpreet. I'm here alongside with Ria and Sanya, and we're here today to present you with a solution on how to improve the quality of service at Shield Air. Now, before I go on any further, I want to share a story with you, a story of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Both of them, they were traveling to Halifax, and they got in a car accident, and there weren't any hospitals close by. So thanks to Shield Air's helicopters, they were taken to the hospitals immediately, and both of them are doing fine and they're recovering well now. Shield Air has helped over the past 2.5 decades many patients that were in life-threatening situations, taken them to hospitals and saved many lives. So that on its own is something that the company as a whole should be really proud of. As per the agenda, I will be going over the SWOT analysis, discussing some of the alternatives with you. Then my colleague Ria here will provide you with a recommendation and go through the analysis. And then Sonia will conclude by presenting the implementation plan along with providing some risks and mitigations. So as for the overall summary, the main issue that we initially discussed at our previous meeting was how to increase the quality of service without increasing costs. And we're recommending that AirShield should buy its own helicopters by issuing bonds, and the benefits of that would be to lead you to a world of opportunity along with making your operations more effective and efficient. So based on our previous meeting and researching your company, it seems that your staff is really experienced. They get a lot of extensive training. Along with that, you have been in business for 2.5 decades, and you've saved hundreds and thousands of lives, which gives AirShield a really good reputation. However, looking on the downside, as the CFO mentioned, the costs are increasing, so your operational costs are increasing, and also we've noticed that there is a weak organizational culture. That's to do with how different departments are isolated from each other. So after that, we decided to take a step back and look at the industry as a whole. And some of the opportunities right now were in mid of 2014, economic conditions are amazing. We're finally recovered from a recession. A lot of the companies are looking at taking on new projects, expanding their business, and also the demand for healthcare is increasing as patients are getting more aware of their health. There's companies that are competing to improve the healthcare and provide efficient operations while managing the costs. On the other hand, majority of the healthcare industry in Canada, they're heavily dependent on government grants, and there's only so much that the government can help out with. Also, there's equipment costs are increasing as we're getting new technology is entering the market. Those equipments are expensive, and hospitals and other healthcare facilities are dealing with the problem of managing their costs. So, based upon our previous meeting, it seems like what you want our consulting firm to do for you is to provide alternative on whether or not to buy your own helicopters or to renew your contract with Air Method, or just keep on doing what you're currently doing and not get a revised contract at all. And some of the risks, it seems that your costs are increasing, as I mentioned earlier, and you have poor organizational synergy, and going forward, we will provide you some recommendations on those. So the primary issue statement here is, how can AirShield provide a higher quality of service without increasing their costs? And the secondary underlying issue is, how can AirShield make its operations more efficient? So we evaluated 3 alternatives. First is to buy your own helicopters. So currently, as we discussed, so currently you don't have your own helicopters. You're subcontracting that out to air method, and then they provide the pilots as well. So one alternative is to buy your own helicopters. Second is to revise a contract with air method, so get them to buy new helicopters so that you can improve your quality of service, or status quo, so basically just let things go the way they are going. And we're recommending that you go ahead and you buy your own operation, buy your own helicopters. And also along with that, we will provide you in more detail in a bit here on how you can make your organize your operations more efficiently, and that would be through changing the corporate culture a little bit, and also combining 2 of the 4 operational departments, which I will let Ria discuss that with you in more detail.
Thanks, Lakshmi. So as we mentioned, we definitely do recommend that you do purchase your own helicopters. And looking at this graph here, you can see that the net present value of your future cash flows is the highest in this situation. However, if you do revise your contract, you still do make some money in that way. But currently, your projected loss for next year is $600,000, and we do not want you to continue in this way. You're going towards, you have great operations and we want you to constantly improve them. So we do say that you purchase it because of the financial reasons as the first thing. And this is NPV that we've calculated over 10 years. But how did we reach here? So some of the assumptions that we made was that because you mentioned that because of the air method's inefficiencies, you were losing about 50% of your calls per year. And that is valuable lives that could have been saved because of that increasing number of calls that we could have picked up. So by purchasing your own helicopters, we can assume that you will be able to pick up more calls and improve your operations in that way. So we have said that you can achieve your 40% more in revenue because of that. And the demand, as you have seen in the economy, is constantly increasing. And an assumption that we made to come up with your net present value was that 10% of demand increases every year. And as you mentioned, your cost of capital was 6.5%, so that was also included, and the inflation of 3.5%, because you got just to analyze that. So that's the graph for you. And just a little more information on how we came up with this. So we did recommend that you go ahead with selling those bonds. We'll talk a little bit about why that is the preferred choice in a minute here, and including that and all of your operating costs and bond payments, because you have to pay back interest and things like that. You are losing money the first couple of years. However, in the next 5 years, you will see those revenues increasing because of increased efficiencies, and you will make profit. But some risk to look at is the air method does not agree to provide pilots, because we did say that the best thing to do here is contract pilots from air method. They have the experience. They are providing you with a pretty good price because they are taking about a 23.5% margin. But they have been in service for over 10 years, and they have also done this with your company for a number of years. They have ongoing training, and by not having to do that, you are saving costs as well. But another risk is that you are unable to receive the required bond amount. So these are 2 major risks that could affect your NPV, but we will help you mitigate those risks through our implementation plan, as you mentioned later on. So just why do we say contract the pilots instead of hiring the pilots? Because that was another big consideration. So if you do contract your pilots, you will need 12 pilots for your fleet with $500,000 per year, amounting to $6 million. And if you contract them, they're already trained, they're experienced, they have a number of flying hours under their belt as well. And they do receive ongoing training, as I mentioned, and you do not have hiring costs. You don't need to go find appropriate clients, because you mentioned that your company is known for its quality of service, and that is one of your key mottos. So doing this will help you keep up with that quality. However, if you do hire pilots, it is a little bit of a less cost, so it's $5.1 million, because you have to give air method a little bit of a margin, but in return you are getting a higher quality, as I said. So we look at some financial analysis, but let's look at some qualitative analysis, because you are a not-for-profit company, and even though by purchasing your helicopters you are making the highest profits, you want to look at some of the other aspects that make your company what it is today. So some of the strengths of the three alternatives was, if you go with the status quo, it's basically you're staying with your operations, you're still saving lives, and you're maintaining your risk level by not increasing it. However, the weaknesses are that you do have a negative net present value. So in the next couple of years, you will be losing money and you will not be able to keep up with the demand. And you do have that backlog of calls and increase in costs that are being put towards your company. So we want you to help mitigate that by suggesting the purchase helicopters option, because that will allow you to be more efficient. It will allow you to control your operations, and also it will give you a higher revenue. So why we chose that over revised contracts particularly is because if you just revise a contract, there were those risks that we mentioned that the method does not have the cash on hand, in fact, to go buy that 12 new helicopters that we require as well. And it will require those guaranteed revenues and that longer contracts. But so far, you're not for profit, you don't have enough money to do all that. So we recommend that purchase helicopters is a better option for sure. So some other considerations to help you even do better than what you're doing right now. So currently you have different departments that are a little isolated. So there are a little bit of communication gaps because sometimes 80% when you send out your helicopter, you do not come back with a passenger. So that just shows that maybe we need to fix our operations a little bit. And we recommend that you can combine two of your departments, the base management department and your lightning free department, because one of them coordinates the inventory and one of them coordinates who to send out where. So if you merge those two systems, it will be easier and your response time will go down. You can save more lives in that way, and once again, it will help with costs as well. So maybe you can cut down on some employees and things like that as well. However, with this merging of two departments, we want you to maintain your business strategy. We want to tell all of your employees, you want to notify them of this and not come into any change management conflicts. So now I'll pass it on to Sonia to talk to you about some other considerations and walk you through the implementation and mitigations of some of this that I mentioned.
Thank you, Ria. So right now, your corporation is based off of your mission statement of collecting revenues from your patients or from the hospitals that you're getting your revenues from. We believe that this does not provide enough synergy within your within your not-for-profit company, and that a not-for-profit should really be about your consumer and the what you're giving back to the community. So if you change your company model to saving lives, we believe that hospitals will like you better and just provide a better, healthier relationship between these hospitals, and possibly those hospitals could make a donations fund in your name so that when people come to the hospital that they could donate in your name, and this could create more funds for your company. So this does come with some implications that you will have to talk to your employees. You're going to have to go from top down and make sure that your whole company is really within this new change in what your company believes in. And this will create a positive work environment, and your employees will really see that your company can do great things in this world of opportunities. So once again, your company is adaptable to the higher demand in the consumers, like more people are needing to be airlifted out of different situations, and that this is creating more demand. People are getting out there, doing more riskier things, and this is a good thing for your company. So purchasing those helicopters will really boost up the demand. Also, it's an innovative thing. You're creating a different department in your operations, and this will create more efficiency within your consumer and your end product, which is your patient. And you want to keep them alive till the end, because who doesn't want to stay alive? So, this will improve your efficiency of your company. And internationally, it's just a greater opportunity for your community. So to come up with this decision, we base off of quality of service. This is the main thing, because patients need to be looked after. You already have great paramedics and doctors on hand. Now you need the transportation to get there. And so purchasing these helicopters, merging the two departments will really create a better service within your organization. And operational feasibility, once again, is a huge factor. And financially feasible, it is feasible for you to get the helicopters and purchase them just with a bonds you will have to get. So we do believe that you should purchase the helicopters to help your organization grow. So onto our implementation. So you need to obtain your financing for your bonds, and we believe that you should draft up a bond contract with the bank to make sure that the right interest rate is on your bonds, and also to issue your bonds to the public. And to do this, you could really promote the fact that it's a great interest rate and they're doing a great commitment to society, helping you get those helicopters, and making sure that they know the cause of your company and that you're not-for-profit saving lives. So you're going to write up a contract for the pilots, and you're going to do this with Air Method and make sure that there is a system in place to make sure that they will provide you pilots, because it is more efficient for you to get them from Air Method instead of training them yourselves, and research other companies just to see what else is out there and what other companies are doing, seeing if you could subcontract anywhere else, if it is less costly somewhere else with the same quality of efficiency and training, then that might be an option for you to consider. Also, just start researching the helicopters. So we saw that you are wanting to get that specific helicopter, and just kind of looking into other markets once again to see if things are cheaper but same quality, because you're not-for-profit, you don't have as many funds, and so if you find cheaper products, then you can reduce the amount of bonds that you're issuing, and so this will be better for your company. And once again, you'll find your appropriate seller, and you will be able to, so that's in the first to 6 months, and then the next 1.5 years, you're going to start buying your helicopters with that preferred seller and sign the contract on getting those pilots from Air Method, because we would really like to see your operations up and running really quickly, because people always need to be tended to and cared for in this society. So, and you're going to start working on change management. So you're going to tell them about all the changes that you're going to be making to this company, that you're going to have a new field, and new operations and helicopters and pilots coming in, and talk to them about the merging departments, just so that they have synergy within each other, and hopefully that there won't be any employee conflicts, and if there is, we're going to hire a specialist so that they can mitigate and help us with the change, help you guys with the change management with your company. And you're going to just host regular meetings just to create more synergy within the company, and make sure the alignment within your company is the same. If you do change your brand to saving lives, you're just going to create a better time with it in your company. And yeah, shifting your organizational culture, just hire a specialist to make sure that the change is smooth, and make sure that everyone's on key. And just after you get these helicopters going and all these things, like, it's very aggressive strategy, and just it's a lot of change within your company. You should just keep communicating with the staff after these few years, and to just look at new ways to improve these costs, and once again, reconsider hiring your own pilots. Go back to where you started, and so you could control every operation, and it'll just create more efficiency within your company. So some risks that we found. So Air Method does not provide pilots. We did consider that because we're not signing their contract this year, and so they might back off with the pilots, but we could once again research into other subcontracting companies. And if you can't obtain funding, your bank, you do have a AA rating, so we believe your bank will provide you with a loan, and it will be the same payments, possibly with lower interest, and advertise the bonds, and just show that the people's interest is really with this company. You're not for profit, you're saving lives. What else can you do? It's the best thing ever. And combined departments, once again, hire a specialist. So we want to see you guys to save more lives like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So I would like to thank you and open the floor to any questions.
What's the perceived delivery schedule on the helicopters? What would the perceived delivery schedule be like if we put it in helicopters?
can do that. So far the response time was with your old company was about 5 minutes to get into there, but to get stuff loaded onto the helicopter and go to the
I'll
location.
rephrase that. When you're purchasing the helicopters, what's your time reception, or what's the perceived delivery schedule on the purchase of 12 helicopters? Are you gonna get all 12 at once? Or are you gonna straddle it? What are you gonna do?
No, we're going to do it in a little bit of in stages, and we're going to take about the first year to do that. So
Okay.
that we can.
And as a result of that, do you plan on continuing with the old scheme? Because if you've only got 2 or 3 helicopters and then 2 or 3 more and 2 or 3 more, excuse me, what happens with to try to keep up the services if you're only having a few helicopters?
So far, we will go on a partial contract with the old company till we phase in all of our new helicopters. So they would still be helping out. We would gradually phase out the contract with our old company over the next year till we buy helicopters.
In your cash flow projection, you show in the first year you're going to have in 2015 a $10 million negative cash flow. I'm just wondering, how are you doing? Where's the money going to come from? You're going to be overextended $250 million. Where are you going to get that $10 million? You don't have any back.
Okay, so we do understand you are going to be getting losses. We're hoping if you really ramp up your company and your new brand, you will see that people will become more interested and a possible issuance of preferred shares can be made. And once again, after 3 years, you'll be making positive cash flows.
What other risks? I mean, we're going into a pretty complex business here with a significant cash outlay. So what other risks do you see us facing over the next 3 to 5 years as we're taking on a large fleet of complex equipment?
I can answer that. So basically, some of the risks, as we mentioned through our presentation, it would be like we think that it wouldn't be that many risks, but because your pilots are still going to be, we're recommending to get them from subcontracted from your method. So you will only be taking on the helicopters. I think the risk would mostly come from just making sure that if you go with the bonds option to finance them, to make sure that you're paying those bond payments on time. Other than that, the company has a great history of going through changes. You were making pumps and making other equipment in the past, like other medical equipment, and then you moved into the air ambulance business. The company has a great history in that way, so we're really confident that being the CEO can definitely handle this opportunity.
Have you considered any implementation costs? So I think between the 0 to 6 month window, you said we should probably start working on the contracts and communicate with our employees. Does your model consider any of those expenses already? And if so, kind of give us an estimate as to that.
Yeah, so we did include a bit more, we did put in a bit more expenses just to cover those costs. And so they are the hiring of the specialists and those regular team meetings that you might be losing operations elsewhere with those team meetings. But yes, we did include just hiring of new specialists and just the research and development, research into the new helicopters and stuff.
The question is on cost of capital. To date, you've been paying a fee for service to AM, and included in their fees would be a cost of them providing the helicopters. When you go back to a renegotiated contract, we will be extending the capital to buy the new helicopters. So if you consider what margin is in their fees, obviously their fees are going to come back because we're bearing the cost of capital. You got an idea of what that might be? How much you prepared to pay them to do the pilots and the maintenance?
So we did include, so you said $250 million is for the helicopters, and we did actually include in our MTV that the $38 million of expenses is included. So that would help with maintenance costs with these helicopters. And yeah, so all the costs are included there.
Thank you.
Stop you there. Thank you.